late for coffee for me too. I was like getting ready for the show and I was like, I could do coffee, but then I'll be up to like 3:00 in the morning because I had coffee and late in the afternoon, you know? Anyway, for those of you who are listening and or watching on our YouTube channel, welcome back to Coffee with Yvonne, a show for creatives and entrepreneurs. I'm Yvonne Pearson, your host, and Darling, the founder. Again, it always sounds good with nails, the founder of Pink Doll House Marketing. And today on the show, I have another special guest, which I am super excited about this. And I know I say all the time, Yvonne, you're excited about everybody because I handpicked the people on my show. So, of course, I'm excited about my guests. I have Liz Reinert, who is the she in charge, the her of her, the thing of things behind Suited for Change. And today we're going to talk about Suited for Change and their work and also the impact Suited for Change has on women's lives and tie it back into fashion. And so to give a background about Suited for Change, and again, if you see me looking down at my screen, it's because I bring notes to the conversation. See, look, I'm breaking the third wall. See, look, those are my notes. It's because I bring notes to the conversation. Perfect. See, Liz has her notes too. I love a prepared guest who has their notes. But Suited for Change is a cornerstone of the Washington, D.C. community since 1992. They have been providing women with tools, confidence, and support that they need to step into the workforce. For more than 3 decades, the organization has served over 30,000 women, offering professional attire, one-on-one coaching, and essential skills and training, all at no cost. Clients are referred through a network of more than 120 community partners, including workforce development programs, transitional housing, and re-entry organizations, domestic violence shelters, government agencies, and faith-based groups. Together, this ecosystem serves and ensures that women facing significant barriers have access to the resources, dignity, and encouragement that they need to pursue employment and long-term stability. To give you background about Liz and her work, she was hired as the executive director in August of 2019 after several years of sending ladies from her program over to Suited for Change for professional clothing. Liz came over from DC Central Kitchen. I've actually volunteered with them, so I'm very familiar with their work, where she served for 6 years as the director of business engagement and community development, and then 2 years as the director of workforce development. Prior to her work, she was the deputy director for Food for Others, the largest provider of free food directly to families in Northern Virginia. She also holds a Bachelor's of Arts because she is educated in political science from UCLA and a Master's of Public Administration and Nonprofit Management from George Mason University. And with that being said, welcome to Coffee with Yvonne, Liz! Hi!
Way to wrap up my last 25 years. Thank you.
I mean, it is quite impressive because when you see people who have nonprofit experience, it just doesn't start out with the one organization that they work with. There's always a through line to that work, and there's always a passion for community building, and empowerment of others. So I'm excited to have you on the show, to have someone who is doing the work right here in the DC area where I grew up and continues to have positive impact and create change. Yay!
Yay!
So Liz, let's get started with the interview. Suited for Change, and to give background to the audience, this is not something that is new to me. I've been very familiar with Suited for Change. 1, as a volunteer, and 2, one of my good friends, Brea, she is part of the board for Suited for Change. She continues to be an advocate and talk about all the things that you guys are doing. But as someone who has been passionate about community since I was little, I really admire what you guys do to really create something different in this area, because you can easily donate your clothes, right? But when you can donate your clothes and you can take those clothes and see them go to work to improve someone else's life, that to me is different than just saying, take these clothes. It gives it new life, essentially. And I just wanted to share that with you before we got started. But for you, how would you describe the heart of your organization's mission and the women that you serve as Suited for Change?
We've hit on so many things. Our mission is to equip women on their path to financial independence by providing them with professional attire, skills training, counseling. But it's so much more than that. You know, our wrapped up little thing. And you said a couple of things that I think are really, really important. We're local. We were women founded, women created, women led. The volunteers we have volunteers that have been volunteering for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. It's a community organization that was born here, lives here, serves the DMV. And it's very well known to the women that we serve because they grew up in the community.
Mm-hmm. And that's very important too, because I remember, and Liz, I'm going to tell you a funny story for a second. I remember when I had my first real internship in college, and my mom actually got me my first internship through her connections, working for EPA and knowing the executive leadership team. I, however, in my naivete, decided to go to work that day with a pair of pants that were not properly hemmed. So I decided to hem the pants with bobby pins that day. Mind you, Liz, I thought nothing was wrong with it. I was 19 years old, but the message traveled through to my mom's network from the time I got on the metro to the time I got to my desk as an intern. Her supervisor at the time told her, take her up the street to Macy's to get better fitting pants, because the way I was representing my mother in that moment as a young professional was not the best way to represent myself and the entire organization. And I learned in that pivotal moment why it may just be a pair of pants to me, how I show up in this world, especially as a Black woman, especially as a woman in general, is always important. And little things like having a clean pair of pants, something that fits, something that makes you feel good, can take you a long way. And I've carried that moment through with me from then through my professional career. So you're exactly right.
I will share with you that my daughter's first internships also came through some of my past connections. And one thing that we do provide is the opportunity for young women who are becoming interns or graduate from college to come in and shop in our boutique when we have boutique sales. So all of my daughter's first clothes came from Suited for Change.
Well, that makes a huge difference, because someone like myself, I had the example growing up, seeing my mom in a professional setting working for EPA, but someone like me who may not have had that experience, you can't be what you can't see, right? And what you guys do is Suited for Change with the boutique. Tell me a bit more about that internship experience. Like, what kind of young women come through there? Are there women who come from those underserved communities who've never put on like a suit or don't know how to like pair those things together? Like, tell me more.
Well, so the women that come to us to be served from the community, they range from women, they're all women coming out of transitional circumstances. So they may just be graduating from college and they need a step up. If they're not low income, then we would direct them to our boutique sales. But most of the women that come to us, the women that we serve, are coming out of transitional circumstances. They've experienced possibly homelessness, drug abuse, unfortunately, domestic violence, or just some other challenges along the way. They might be a new American, they might just be entering our workforce. So, or it's someone who hasn't been in the workforce for a long time. She stayed home with her kids. There's a lot of different things. What they all share is past trauma, and they all share a desire to start over. And we're very, very lucky that the community of social workers and the nonprofits that you mentioned, DC Central Kitchen and N Street Village, all of the different shelters in the city, they know they can refer women to us. So they come to us for a styling experience first. The clothing is the entryway. You're right. We have them come for a 1-hour suiting experience, and they're paired with a professional who has been trained and vetted by our organization. She's taken trauma-informed training. She's taken some diversity, equity, and inclusion training. We take our mission to make everyone feel inclusive and welcome. It's our biggest priority. So the women welcome everyone where they are, and they walk them through finding the outfit that makes them feel the best for their job interview.
So when you had the student experience, because as a former volunteer and now, getting re-involved, one of
Mhm.
my favorite parts of that was picking the potential looks before the client came in. And from what I remember, your boutique is expansive. It felt like I was in like a small department store. And as someone like I had a background working in higher end retail, it's just really great when you could go through and say, "Oh, let's try this color on this person, put these things together." Like, tell me a bit more about how that makes the client feel when they know that they have options when they come into your boutique.
Well, first of all, you should see it now because
Okay.
we redecorated last year and it is high end. We have dressing rooms
Ooh.
with armchairs and gold velvet curtains, and we have wallpaper. We keep, you know, uh, water and hot tea and coffee and things like that for the clients, cookies out. They're immediately greeted by someone who is going to say, "I'm here to serve you today. What kind of job are you looking for? What kind of interview are you going on?" And then they'll say, "What do you like? Do you like to wear pants? Do you like to wear skirts? Do you like these colors?" Sometimes the woman has very strong ideas and sometimes she says, "Help me." And you're right. They will go through several different outfits. The session usually takes an hour, but if she needs a little more time, a little less time, that's fine. It is guided by the volunteer stylist, but completely to make the client feel the best way that she can. And to that end, we carry every size. We carry lots of different colors. We carry clothing that is non-traditional. Some women prefer to wear traditionally men's suits, and so we keep a wide selection of that. We ask, simple questions as, do you like stripes? What's your favorite color? And it builds from there. And the women get to try on things in the dressing room, come out and look at themselves. When they find the outfit that just clicks for them, that's when the stylist will say, "Let's try on shoes. How about a handbag? How about jewelry?" And then they start dressing them up. And that's really where the fun comes in.
I love that. And it makes it feel more like a human experience
Oh,
because one of the things I love about Cedar for Change, you never make someone feel like they are less than when they
oh, no.
walk through your doors. You are a client in that moment. And the job of the volunteers and the team is to serve you. And it doesn't matter what your personal experience is in your life. The moment you walk in, you are number one.
Yep.
And to bring that confidence to the table, especially Liz, to go back to something you said, you carry sizes for every woman
Mhm.
in the boutique. And that's not something fashion does already, right? Fashion is not very inclusive when it comes to dressing women of all shapes and sizes. Tell me a bit more about the decision to carry a wider selection of sizes for women who may be more curvier in their body type.
It comes back to inclusivity. Our goal is to help the woman get a job. Our goal is to help her see the beauty that's within, help her find the strength that's within, help her remember who she is. The worst thing that could happen is we couldn't help somebody. That would be the worst thing that could happen. And, I will say, like for shoes, for example, it's hard to always have the right pair of shoes because shoes are very complicated. And so we will, if we can't find something, we can give the woman a gift card to Walmart. We won't let anyone leave without feeling really, really good to the best of our ability. And sometimes it takes a woman a while to decide what she wants to wear because she may not have worn clothes like this before for whatever reason. But we've also seen just amazing, amazing transformations more often than not. More often than not, the woman comes out of the dressing room and will look at herself in the mirror, and a lot of times she'll start to cry. And we cry a lot, happy tears.
A lot of tissues.
A lot of, every space that you'll see, every space of the boutique. And that's a beautiful thing. And she'll say something like, I never thought I'd see her again, or I never thought I could look like this, or what touches me is, I can't wait for my daughter to see me like this.
Mm.
It's actually choking me up, and I've been there forever.
But that really shows that you care, though. Like, you care about the stories, right? And the feeling that comes out of it.
Even if we only see them for that at 1 hour and we don't see them again, our goal is that they feel treasured and valued in that hour, and that they leave feeling confident. And that's where coaching comes in. So we started the coaching program about 6 years ago. And the idea was, the woman comes in carrying a lot of baggage, and we always have to remember who knows what she had to go through just to get there. So she's already faced so many challenges and so many just things outside of her comfort zone just to get there. And when she gets there, the first thing someone's going to ask her is what size she is. Until and try things on, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the hour, everybody's, hugging and laughing. And generally there's a lot of camaraderie. There's 3 dressing rooms. So 3 women might be suited at the same time. And then they're looking at each other's clothes and trying on each other's shoes. And at the end, they've put down some of that baggage. And so we use that opportunity to say, hey, especially if the job interview is, last week we had someone whose job interview was the next day, right? Say, you want to sit down with the coach for a few minutes and maybe get some helpful hints. Someone might be very ready. Someone might not have any idea what to do. And we can start very simply, now you know what you're going to wear. Do you know how you're going to get there? Have you thought about how long it's going to take? Have you gone online to research the company or the organization or the restaurant? The coach could be doing something as general as that, or she could be, working on the resume. It just depends on where the woman is. We have a workbook that can start from, if a woman just absolutely can't get started, the volunteer will start with, well, tell me about something you're proud of. Tell me what you've been doing the last couple of years. I've got 5 kids. Well, you must have to be very organized.
I mean, that's project management right there, right?
I mean, that's just it. So the volunteers are trained, and they're very empathetic, and they're very good at bringing out, well, you already have the skills. You got the interview. This is great. You're already on the road. And we also, of course, say, and if you don't get this interview, then it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't the right fit. And so you go on another one. And if clients are interested, they can have ongoing coaching. We give them a card. They can reach back out to their coach. They can talk to them virtually or come back in person. And so some women need a little extra help, and some women just are ready to go. And we love it when they call and tell us that they got the job, because then the first thing we do is invite them to come back and get 3 more outfits, because then they'll have a full week of clothing.
And the things that you talked about too, Liz, those barriers to entry that someone like me who grew up middle class or, grew up in an environment where I saw people educated X, Y, and Z never thinks about, right? You never think about how when you have a job interview, going with professional clothing is sometimes a barrier to entry to folks. Then the next thing, not knowing about how to speak about those transferable skills. Yes, you're a mom of 5, but that is project management. That is negotiation. That's so many different things. Budgeting, like just being a mom is essentially a CEO of a company. Then you have other things, Liz, like doing the research about a company and knowing those questions to ask, and also speaking to your transferable skills. Those are things people like you and I may not think about as something that may intimidate someone, but the work that you're doing as Suited for Change helps to break down that intimidation and makes them feel like they belong in those spaces, which is what I love about what you guys do.
I do think that that's our primary goal is just inclusivity, inclusion, to make people feel like they're, like you said, a part of the working world.
And there's so many things like, fashion. We talked about a bit with Suited for Change, because the girls, they slay. They slay at Suited for Change when they put on those outfits. But there's also marketing. And as a marketing girly myself, marketing, as you know, Liz, plays a major role in how nonprofits connect with their communities. How does Suited for Change use things like storytelling or use those feedback from like clients to help show the impact of your work?
So we have a wonderful employee on staff. Her name is Destiny. You've met her. Destiny makes it her primary goal not only to welcome people when they come through the door, and she's kind of the closest desk, so she's always jumping up, but she takes a lot of pictures during that time. She asks a lot of questions. We have a survey, a post-suiting survey that everyone fills out. And we do tell those stories through social media, on our website. We build our campaigns around the women that we serve and the stories that they tell. The truth is, I mean, I could sit here and I could tell you 100 stories, because that's the heart of who we are. We're a bunch of women helping other women and just listening to each other's stories and also making sure they recognize at the core, we're all the same. And you know that we need help with our marketing, which is why we're working with you, because it's a struggle to tell the story. It's a struggle to tell the story because the world is busy and there are much bigger problems in the world than not having the right suit to wear to a job interview, unless you're the woman that doesn't have the right suit to wear to a job interview. Because if you don't have it, you can't go to the interview. And if you don't go to the interview, you can't get the job. So while I understand there's a lot of noise, especially in our current climate. So it's hard to get the attention, but luckily, a lot of women in our community remember us and support us. So we can support those women that we serve.
I love that. And essentially what you're saying to the audience who may not know, Liz is saying that they lean a lot on word of mouth marketing, right? Because Suited for Change is rooted in the community. Word of mouth marketing still is one of the most powerful forms of marketing tools today, but it essentially carries the message forward of who Suited for Change is. It tells people about the impact without having to do a big, campaign storytelling. Your clients are the campaign. Your volunteers are the campaign. They are the ones carrying Suited for Change forward. And then you have people like me who just volunteer because we love the message and the mission. And Liz, one of the things I want to talk about too is your upcoming event that you have, your annual gala is coming up. Tell me more about how that drives the message forward for Suited for Change and bringing something fun to the community while still having impact.
Well, we just started planning for this year, but I can tell you it's always a very, very fun event with a lot of different community partners. And we usually tell a client's story. Last year, we were very fortunate to have a client speak for us. And this is one of those things you can't make up. 2 years ago, we were at our gala at District Winery. And we're having our gala, drinking champagne, and everyone's chatting and having a good time. And a bartender comes up to me and she said, "You don't know me, but I wanted you to know that your team suited me. And that's how I got this job. And I now have a home because I have a job." Her name was Jasmine. You can see her story on our website. And last year, she came and shared her story at our gala. So we do want to bring it back to the mission. We want to have fun. We want to make a lot of money. And we want to celebrate the success stories of the women that we serve. We want to remember that someone needs to be there for them in our community.
And that's, it's something like that. You can't buy that kind of publicity, right? Because she just came up to you authentically and wanted to share about how that one experience changed the trajectory of her life. And go ahead, Liz.
It's interesting that you say that word of mouth is our best marketing. That's how the clients get to us. Yes, they are referred to us by referral partners, but there's so much turnover in nonprofit organizations just because the pay is low, the work is hard, the stories are hard. The clients all know another woman in the community that have been to see Suited for Change, their mother, sister, aunt, cousin, neighbor. And so they will say to their social worker, "Hey, you need to make a referral for me for Suited for Change." And so that's that. And because we've been here 30 years. So that's just so wonderful. And the best, if we're serving a place where a woman lives, if we're serving a woman from a place where other women live, say a homeless shelter or a battered women's shelter, and she comes back with her white bags, her shopping bags, that's the best recruiting there is, because everybody else in the house is going to go, "Where'd you get that? Where'd those clothes come from?"
I would like a shopping experience.
That's right. And because I know, but the clothing is up to date. It's very, very lightly used or new. Stylish, good brands. We don't give anyone anything that we wouldn't wear ourselves. In fact, we often purchase clothing from the boutique.
And, Liz, tell me a bit more about those community partners, like those boutiques that you work with, or other things that you use to make the boutique feel like a shopping experience. Are there any local businesses that you would like to highlight?
Well, so we had a great partnership with St. John Knits in the past, and also
Ooh.
Bloomingdale's. Yes, we've had partnerships with both of them.
I used to
Um,
work for Bloomingdale's early in
Right.
my career.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
I
So
was
we've
there
had
for three
partnerships
years.
with them. And really, though, the community partners are the ones, the law firms, the businesses, their banks, they're doing clothing drives. Women are volunteers where they work. It's a great way for community members to give back in an easy way that feels good. And we have organizations that once a year do a clothing drive for us. The clothing's all donated. It maybe 5% of our clothing is purchased. It's a very, very small amount. It's just when we don't have the right size or we're running really low on something. Like, for example, we don't give away any used undergarments or bras or anything like that, tights. All of that's brand new. So we will have to purchase some of that. But sometimes if a law firm is listening, I'll say, hey, listen, this is easy. Just buy a bunch of, nylons, tights, things like that, because it's easy to transport. Handbags. We give away 50 handbags a week because every woman leaves with a handbag, a new handbag to match her outfit. And so it's the community that provides that for us.
Wow. And I didn't even know that about the handbags, like 50 handbags a week. That's a lot of purses
Yes.
that leave the Suited for Change doors. And you think about things like a handbag, because for women or those who choose to carry, like, work totes, you put everything in there, right? You got your lunch, your work shoes, everything. And a good handbag can carry you through a number of years. And also it's something that can show that you are a professional working woman. The
Yes.
right handbag, just like the right suit, can change your life, right?
I agree. Shoes.
Yes. And shoes. As a Bigfoot girly, size 10 / almost 11, I know how important it is to have a good, comfortable pair of shoes. And going to your space, Liz, when I saw like size 10 and up, I said, oh my goodness, this is good.
Well, of course, we try and have every size that there's available. And comfort's important and fit is important. You can't be, this is part of what it all comes back to. And I'm sure we'll get to this. It all comes back to confidence. And it's not important that we dress the woman the way we think she should look. It's important that she feels good and that she feels confident, because that way she'll be able to put her best foot forward. If she's worried about her shoes are too big or too high or slipping, that will distract her. If her clothes don't fit properly, that will distract her. So we want to make sure that she feels ready and confident. And we all know, every woman knows that you feel so much better when you feel like you look good.
Yes, and to connect the dots with Suited for Change and one of my absolute favorite movies, The Devil Wears Prada, the sequel is coming out in May, which I'm very excited about. In the movie, Andy Sachs, when she first came to Runway, one of the things that was criticized was her clothing. While there was a whole scene about the color cerulean, it really ties back to how you show up in different spaces. How do you see Suited for Change and The Devil Wears Prada? How do you see that relationship connecting with each other, like the Andy Sachs character and your clients?
Well, one thing about that movie is the clothing is almost a character. Fashion is almost a character in the movie. That's how important it is. And we care so much about how the woman feels. We never want her to feel like she's not wearing the right thing. That's a terrible scene, because it's terrible to feel like you're not in the right outfit. And we also take into account that professional clothing looks different for everyone. That we try and be inclusive, because what looks professional to one, we try not to use professional clothing. We try to use interview ready clothing, because what is professional in one setting may not be considered professional in another setting. And So really what it comes down to for us is building confidence. Just
Mm-hmm.
making sure that she feels equipped. I might be jumping ahead a little bit, but it is like putting on a suit of armor. It is. You know, when you feel like you look the part, then it gives you that extra edge. And it's just, and also to get all the feedback when you're there from the other volunteers and the other clients saying, wow, you look fabulous in that. And we do say, wear red, you know, wear purple, if that's what you feel, be powerful. You know, we encourage women to, you know, be their own self, wear their hair the way they feel good, you know, so it's really more about just building her up, building her confidence, and letting her know there's a community of women behind her.
Yes, and I love the way you connected those dots together. And there was also a moment in the movie, the original movie, Devil Wears Prada, when Stanley Tucci took Andy to the closet at Runway. I keep wanting to call it Vogue, but we all know what the movie is based off of. But at Runway, and he started working, you know, her through, giving her different looks and this, that, and the other. And you just see her whole demeanor start to change, right? And when she shifted from that closet scene to walking in with the Chanel boots, and the two, like Emily and her friend, notice and like, you look good. And you just see her just sit up a little bit prouder.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Suited for Change does for the women in the community. You help them sit up taller, find their confidence, find their voice. And even little things, it may seem little to some, but confidence does come with clothing. How you feel about yourself when you walk into a room changes everything. And I know for me in general, little things like this brooch I'm wearing right now, which was my grandmother's, you know, I wear it every now and then. I have this ring that was, you know, given to me by my mom. It's my birthstone. Like little pieces of jewelry and little pieces of clothing can really change your perspective and how you look and think about yourself. One thing I did want to know too was Suited for Change. As you look ahead, what opportunities do you see for Suited for Change to expand its impact, whether it's through partnerships, new programs, or community initiatives? Like, what is your vision as a leader?
Oh, gosh. It's interesting because our board of directors and the staff are embarking on strategic planning this Saturday. So, yeah, so it's something we've been talking about a lot. There's so many different ways that we can go, but it is important for us to remember what our core mission is. You know, first and foremost, we have to suit these women, make the clothing available, because we're the only place that is accessible in the greater DMV. And so we need to make sure that we have that accessible. We need to make sure that we keep our coaches trained and expanded. We don't have enough coaches yet. When we're suiting 15 women a day, we can't coach everyone. One of the things we just did is convert a room that we were using for overflow clothing into a beautiful professional coaching space, so that we have a dignified area to coach the women. We are expanding and hope to expand even more into the community. We go to about 5 or 6 different agencies right now, N Street Village, Catholic Charities, to name a few, and we do workshops. So we go to where the women already are learning or already are living, to bring the workshops to them. And they range from resume building, but it might be how to tie a scarf to literacy. Depends on the organization and what they need and what the women need. So expanding into the community, more referral partners. And there are groups that don't know about us. And we've tried very hard. For example, when I first came, and this was, 6 years ago, we didn't have as many clients from the Hispanic community. And I was surprised by that, because in a lot of my previous work, I saw, a lot of need in the Hispanic community. And we really worked on reaching out to those organizations that serve, translating things into Spanish, making sure we had a Spanish speaker on board. There are other communities that don't know about us. I don't think that a lot of the organizations that serve LGBTQ plus communities know about us, and that we are inclusive, and that anyone who identifies as a woman is welcome and will be clothed to their preferences, their satisfaction, with dignity and respect, and the same wonderful suiting experience. And we know that that's a community that's marginalized and hurting, and we want to be there for them. So in the future, we hope to just continue to grow and just continue to reach more people in the community with more programs.
And, I like the vision that you laid out, because you're exactly right. Inclusivity doesn't just, touch one group, it touches multiple groups, right? And the LGBTQIA plus community is being under attack right now with everything that's going on. And they need support with organizations like yours, who recognizes the pronouns that they prefer to use and who recognizes who they are, who they want to present themselves to in the world. And what I love about working with Suited for Change, and we're coming to the close to the end of our interview, is being able to do things like this, Liz, like what I'm doing, which I haven't announced it yet to my audience, but I might as well tell them now. But hosting a private screening of the Devil Wears Prada 2 to benefit Suited for Change. And I'm so excited to work with you guys, and that you were open to the crazy idea that lived in my head to connect these two dots together. But that's what working local gives you. That's what working with grassroots organizations give you. It gives you the ability to directly reach out to the person that you want to talk to about your ideas and work through the ways you can execute them.
And I always say, I'm in charge and I can do anything I want. So if you have a crazy idea, bring it to me and we'll see if we can make it work.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that lives up here. There's a lot of creative tabs in my head, Liz. Don't be scared. It's brilliant. I promise.
I am not scared. I am right alongside you, Yvonne. I am right alongside you.
I love that. I love that. Before we wrap up our interview, I have a couple sip and spill quick fire questions for you. Okay. If you are down to participate.
Down.
Cool beans. And remember, Liz, this comes top of the dome, so just stand 10 toes down about your answer. Okay. In your opinion, who is the best rapper or singer of all time?
The best singer of all time?
Yes.
Or rapper? You're going to make fun of me, but you didn't ask who my favorite was. You asked who's the best.
Okay.
In my opinion, Barbra Streisand is the greatest singer of all times. I'm a big fan of her work, of Broadway.
I love that answer. Keep going. Keep going.
No, I grew up on, Funny Girl, Funny Lady. My girls have watched it, but I would say she is the best singer who ever lived. Oh, except maybe Lady Gaga.
Oh, okay. I'll allow you to split generations. We can do Barbara and then we can do Lady Gaga, because I agree with Lady Gaga.
Oh my gosh.
Love her.
Yeah.
Love her.
That came to mind. See, that came right off the top of my head, because I started thinking about, when she played the same role that Barbra Streisand played in A Star Is Born, which is really the best movie ever. So yeah, it's a split. That's
okay. And I was also introduced to Barbra Streisand through one of my absolute favorite TV shows, The Nanny. I remember watching that, and she was always like, Barbra Streisand, where is she? And I'm like, who is Barbra Streisand? And after a while, she started like incorporating more into the show. So I totally get all those references. Still one of the best shows ever, The Nanny. Please do a reboot. Okay. Next question. If you could live in any city for a year, any city around the world, where would it be and why?
This is also torn between two, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So there are two places. Well, there's so many wonderful places in the world. If you don't know this much about me, but travel is my most favorite thing, and there's nothing I don't want to see. I want to see everything. But if you ask that big question, my first instinct would probably be Rome, because, and I've only been to Rome once, and not for a long time. And it became quickly evident to me that if you lived there a year, you still wouldn't see everything. There's just so much to see. I really love museums and history and things like that. And of course, the food is always the most important thing, right? And you could travel to other countries in Europe, but then on the other hand, you could live in Greece. You could live in Athens. Athens is kind of an easy lift because a lot of people speak English and it's warmer. That might be nice too, because you could still have all the antiquities and the history and the culture, and you could see the other islands. So
I would go with Greece, because I've been to Rome as well. And while I love seeing the Colosseum up close, when I tell you, Liz, seeing that was just like, as a history nerd who loves museums, I geeked out. I was like, oh my God. But to your point, Greece is warmer. And you do have the islands, and it's just so pretty with the blue, like the blue tops,
and the food.
And the food is so fresh. Like, I swear to goodness, having a tomato in Italy, I will never forget how fresh a tomato tasted. I said, this is a tomato. and like, I kept saying it over and over again, and people were like, okay. I said, no, you don't understand. I'm American, but this is a tomato.
Yeah, no, I'm all about the history, the culture, the museums, and the food.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be anywhere fancy, Liz, right? It could be like a hole in the, those are the best food places. The hole in the walls.
Street food. I'm all about street food. I want that copita right off the cart.
A good limoncello, just put the spoon in there. You're strolling. You have a nice breeze. Oh, Europe, you'll always have my heart. I just love you. And then my other question, you had a long day, Liz. Like, you are like, I am spent. What is your go-to comfort food for the day?
You want me to tell you the truth?
Tell me the truth.
I can't lie because people will see this. Again, there's nothing that I don't like. I like all kinds of food, and I have favorite comfort foods, and I usually eat very, very healthy. But after a really long day, like if I'm downtown DC all day and I'm tired, I want wine and popcorn. I do not want to cook. Wine and popcorn. Now, I do not indulge that all the time because I also have to feed my husband and I want to make sure we eat healthy. But that if I could I just want to come home, not even go in the kitchen. Otherwise, just to pop some microwave popcorn and sit in front of the television.
And you know what? That is so real because sometimes they call it girl dinner now, Liz. Sometimes you just don't have the energy to think about food. Liz, don't think of me as weird. One time I had a combination of Albanese gummy bears. I made myself chocolate chip cookies, and then I had chips for dinner because I was like, I just can't think of anything. So I just opened up the cabinet and said, here you go. That's what we're having.
It's just easier to skip to the snacking.
It is. It's so much easier to do it that way. It's like, that's too much work right now. And then last thing, Liz, if you were a coffee, like you got to make the Liz special, what kind of coffee would you be?
What kind of coffee would I be? Wow. What I think I would be and what I drink are probably two different things. I think I would definitely be like a double shot of espresso because I have a lot of energy.
Okay.
I do love espresso, but with me, it's got to come with a lot of cream.
Me too. Yeah. Me too.
Sure, but I need a lot of cream.
Yeah, same. I am a white chocolate mocha with soy, no whip kind of person. Like, I need the coffee, but I need that sweetness in there because if it's too bitter, I don't want to drink it. Yeah, definitely. Well, Liz, thank you so much for joining me for coffee. Tell me more about, in my audience, how they can learn more about Suited for Change and their work.
Okay, so it's so easy. Our website is suitedforchange.org, not com, because we're a nonprofit organization, suitedforchange.org. And you can't throw a rock at Suited for Change without hitting me. There are 4 employees. So if you need to give us a call, the number is there. It's been the same number for 20 years. And ask any question that you like. There's a page on how to get involved as far as volunteering. There's a page on how to get involved as far as donating. There's a page that it talks about, how to donate clothing. And you can also read some good stories like the story I told you about our former client, Jasmine. So suitedforchange.org. And please sign up for a newsletter and then you'll get all the latest in your inbox.
Yay! Awesome sauce. And thank you so much, Liz, for joining me for coffee today. It was an absolute pleasure. I hope everyone enjoyed today's chat. You can learn more about me, my business, all the things that I do by following me on social media. You can follow Coffee with Yvonne at Coffee with Yvonne on Instagram and Threads. You can also find me on TikTok, aka the Clock app, and Instagram, where you can see me cut up and be my full transparent self. at Yvonne_creative marketer. And if you ever have any questions when it comes to things about marketing or all the things, you can find me at pinkdollhousemarketing.com or on Instagram at pinkdollhousemarketing. You can slide into my DMs. That's cool. And creatives, I know I say this to you, but I'm going to keep on saying every single week until you get it. Don't forget to keep showing up, keep creating, and that your voice matters. I cannot wait to chat with you soon on another episode of Coffee with Yvonne. Okay, bye! Yay, cheers! That was so much fun. Yay! Coffee with Yvonne is produced and edited by Yvonne Pearson. Coffee with Yvonne is created by Pink Doll House Marketing. You can catch the latest episodes by subscribing to Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.